Next, we look at economic foundations of business ethics. Okay, our financial system is complex. It provides opportunity to take excessive risk and manipulate stakeholders. Okay, so there are a lot of nuances in our economics. It's not straightforward. It's complex. There are a lot of risks, and there are a lot of opportunities for people to misbehave, to take advantage of other groups of people. So it is very complex and definitely not ideal. Risk compartmentalization is when profit centers within corporations are unaware of the overall consequences of their actions on the firm as a whole. Okay, so uh, a problem occurs when within a particular organization, different departments that function as profit centers, where they have cost and they have revenues. Therefore, they based on their activities, they generate profit. But when they, in the pursuit of their profit, they are unaware of the consequences of their actions on the firm as a whole. So sometimes pursuing their maximizing their profit may their profit may be detrimental to the firm as a whole. That is risk compartmentalization. Economic and social disasters as well as country conflicts have intensified the risks and challenges. So apart from the risk compartmentalization issue, economic and social disasters, uh, country conflicts also add to the risk. The world continues to cope with disruptions of the global economy, such as the Great Recession, and the most recent one is the COVID-19 pandemic. In understanding how different cultures will affect uh, the different different national cultures will affect how organizations make decisions, ethical decisions, we need to look at the different economic systems, because different countries apply different economic systems. Um, and to understand economic systems, we look at the famous founders or famous researchers that talk about the different economic systems. First is by Adam Smith, who is a professor of logic and moral philosophy during the late 18th century, who developed critical economic ideas, which is still considered important today. So he brought up the idea of laissez-faire, the idea of the invisible hand, which is critical to capitalism because it assumes the market, through its own inherent mechanisms, keeps commerce in equilibrium. Okay, it assumes that if we let the market to operate by themselves without government intervention, then through its mechanism within the market, the commerce will be in equilibrium. Next is Keynes' view of the economics. So John Maynard Keynes is an economist who argued that the state could stimulate economic growth and improve stability in the private sector through, for example, controlling interest rates, taxation, and public projects. So Keynes' view is that markets will function more efficiently if there is some intervention from the state, from governments, to stimulate economic growth and improve stability. And the things that government could intervene is with controlling the interest rates, taxation, and public projects. Milton Friedman is an economist who rejected the Keynesian conclusion that markets sometimes need intervention to function efficiently, and believe deregulation could reach equilibrium without government intervention. So Friedman is not of the same opinion as Keynes. He believes that market will function more efficiently without any intervention from the government. So, but those are related to the capitalism. There are other economic systems such as socialism. It refers to economic theories that advocating the creation of a society when wealth and power are shared and distributed evenly based on the amount of work expended in production. Okay, and then we also have the social democracy, which allows private ownership of property and also features a large government equipped to offer such services as education and healthcare to its citizens. So there are quite a number of countries that adopt the social democracy, where governments take ownership of some important services such as education and healthcare, and the government will provide these services to its citizens, rather than leaving all services, all needs to the private sector. Bimodal wealth distribution occurs when the middle class shrinks, resulting in highly concentrated wealth among the rich and increased number of poor people with few resources. Okay, so sometimes the capitalist economy will create the bimodal wealth distribution, where the wealth will be concentrated among the rich, and there will be even more people who are left poor, okay, and less people in the middle. Okay, so the income disparity will increase. Rational economics is based on the assumption that people are predictable and will maximize the utility of their choices relative to their needs and wants. It also assumes people act independently on the basis of full and relevant information. Okay, so one way of looking at how people behave is to assume rational economics, where people um, are predictable, and whatever action they do with the intention of maximizing their utility, um, with the basis that they have full information, that they conduct actions with being fully informed, and that they will maximize their utility. However, um, the behavioral economics view is that humans act irrationally. So they don't exactly use all the information that they have, and then they strive to maximize their utility, but rather sometimes they act in a way that is not rational. And this is theorized to be caused by genetics, emotions, learned behavior, heuristics, and rules of thumb. Okay, so now let's look at multinational corporations, businesses that operate across multiple countries. Okay, so multiple multinational corporations or MNCs are public companies that operate on a global scale without significant ties to any one nation or region. Some firms are so large they generate higher revenues than gross domestic product of some of the countries where they do business. So it's saying that these multiple multinational corporations are very large companies, that some of them are so large, their revenue is higher than the GDP of some of the countries that they do business. They operate in some countries, and their GDP, their revenue is more than the GDPs of those countries. Because of size, financial power, MNCs are subject to much ethical debate. These are some of the things that they do. Some of the consequences, you can say, of these MNCs that creates a lot of criticism, a lot of intervention, okay, such as transfer jobs overseas where wage rates are lower. Okay, so because they operate in multinational, they are able to maximize or in one way they are able to minimize their cost by employing people from countries that have wage rates lower. And then labor saving devices increase unemployment. So these MNCs are able to make a lot of automation or use mechanics or mechanization such that they use less people, less labor, and therefore in the long term there will be more unemployment because a lot of MNCs has reduced the number of workers that they need. And then MNCs also increase gap between the rich and poor nations. MNCs exploit natural and human resources. MNCs exploit labor markets of host countries. Sometimes they employ underage labor. And then MNCs create unfair competition. They perform vertical integration where they bought over their suppliers and their customers, several levels in the supply chain, that reduces competition. Some nations outright refuse to allow MNCs into their countries due to these consequences. So there is a Business for Social Responsibility group, which is a globally based resource system that endorses following responsible business practices among the multinational corporations. So BSR addresses issues such as community investment, corporate social responsibility, the environment, governance, and accountabilities. So MNCs are not inherently unethical. Okay, they by themselves they are not unethical. However, because of the size and power, they often seem threatening to people. So people are intimidated by the size of the MNCs. And of course, other businesses which are smaller than the MNCs that operate in less developed countries. So they becomes a threat. MNCs becomes threat to smaller businesses, especially in less developed countries, because they operate with economies of scale. Per product that they produce, they can sell at a much lower price than local businesses and local small businesses. Therefore, it creates unfair, you can say unfair competition, or unfair stress on the local businesses. Differences in cultural perspective may be as important as differences in economic interests. The US model of the MNC is fading as developing countries form MNCs as alliances, joint ventures, and wholly owned subsidiaries.